guys, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. If you're joining for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name's Abby and I'm a homeschooling mom of two high school age students. I have an 11th grader and a 10th grader, and here on my channel I share all about our homeschooling through high school journey. And in addition to homeschooling content, I also like to share things about gardening, homemaking, DIY projects, cooking, just kind of all of the different things that I love in life and want to share with all of you. But today I wanted to talk about high school electives, specifically what happens when you cannot find a course or a pre-made curriculum for an elective that you or your student want to have them do. Now, I did a video where I shared all of the previous electives we have done in our homeschool, and I'll link that video up here for you and down below in the description box. And I went through all of them, all of the different electives that we have done. And for the most part, our electives have been things that have come from kind of ready to go curriculums. We've gotten things like logic courses, foreign language courses, philosophy, psychology, and we've been able to find things to use that have been all set to go. However, next year is a little different because I really wanted to do two different topics with my students, and I just could not find a pre-made curriculum that I felt like it ticked all the boxes, that covered all of the aspects of that subject that I wanted it to do, or had that good mix of different types of things for them to do for the course. And the two topics that I wanted to cover with my students were mental health and life skills. Now, for mental health, the thought process I had about this was to not only teach them the basics about really common mental health illnesses, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, some of the different common ones, but also how those are approached and treated, different types of treatment options, whether that be traditional medicine, alternative medicine, counseling, kind of what types of approaches have been done for those, but also how to take care and cultivate your own mental health. Regardless of whether or not you have an official diagnosis, taking care of and maintaining your mental health is just as important as maintaining your physical health. You know, knowing, a lot of us know that we need to exercise, we need to eat right, and we need to, wear sunscreen and things like that. But how is it that we can take care of our mental health, especially as our teens are getting ready to enter college? College is going to be a really stressful time. They're, on their own. They're experiencing a lot of new things. And that jump from high school student to college student can be really hard. It's really hard for a lot of students. And then even that jump from college student to, full on your own, supporting yourself adult, that's another big change. And I really want my kids to feel well prepared for handling the different types of challenges and emotions and stressors that can come about during those years. So I thought a mental health course would be really good to do. And then life skills. Now, we have taught a lot of life skills over the years simply by having our children around us as we do a lot of different things. My kids can cook better than I can for a lot of things. Like, my daughter is the queen of sourdough. She has not found a recipe that she cannot just knock out of the ballpark. My son can make all different kinds of things as well. They both know how to do their laundry. They both know how to change the oil in their car. They know how to do some simple things around the house, but there's still a lot more, about life that can be taught. And I posted on both my Instagram page and here on YouTube asking you guys what sort of things you wish you would have been taught before you graduated high school. Because I already had a couple of ideas, but I thought, well, we'll ask the masses. And man, you guys gave me some great ones. Taxes, insurance, mortgages, different types of retirement plans, basic sewing skills, how to do different types of work relationships, how to write a resume, how to act in an interview, all different kinds of things. I thought, wow, that's so cool. Wouldn't it be great to do a course where we're kind of going over those different things and at least giving them a good introduction to it, so as they come, upon them in adulthood, it's not something that's taking them entirely by surprise. So I just want my kids to feel better prepared for those things. Now, all that being said, I started to do some research to see if there was anything out there that would help cover those subjects. And I found that there was just not anything that I really loved for either of those subjects. There were, for like mental health, there were some curriculums that kind of covered bits and pieces of it. For example, somebody had mentioned that The Good and the Beautiful had a course. However, it's really only designed for up to 8th grade, and I wanted something that was definitely more robust than that, because this is for high school age students, particularly for my oldest, who's going to be a senior. And I really wanted to make sure we were getting a bit more in depth with things. But other than that, I just really could not find something that I really liked. A lot of things took me to psychology curriculum, and that's not really the approach that I was looking for. I didn't want it to be a psychology course. Then with life skills, looking at things like Kathy Duffy reviews, christianbook.com, rainbowresource.com, I'd find individual books, but nothing that just felt like a full-on course that really had all of the different aspects. And that's when I said, finally, you know what, I'm just gonna write my own. That's just what I'm gonna have to do. Now, I know the idea of creating a course from scratch might seem intimidating at first, but I'm hoping that by sharing the strategies and approaches I'm taking towards this project, you'll see that it is something that is definitely doable, and it doesn't have to be something that is going to break the bank as you put it together. Now, I love to start with a list. My husband says I'm like the to-do list queen. I love lists. So I sat down and I made a list of what I was hoping to cover in these courses I was creating. And I think you could do this for any type of elective you were going to create. Now, let's just do the life skills course, for example. I wanted to make sure that we were covering basic home repair, taxes and insurance, some business skills, like interviewing, proper emails. I wanted to talk a little bit about basic social etiquette, how you handle different social situations, understanding kind of how your home functioned, basic things you needed to do for home maintenance. Those were just some of the key things I wanted to make sure I was covering with this course. Really, I think starting with the list is great no matter what type of a course you're looking to create. I mean, let's say you were creating a woodworking course for one of your kids. You might want to make sure you cover basic safety, tools and their functions, specific skills, doing certain kinds of cuts, certain types of joints, certain building projects with them. And that would help guide you to what kind of things you need to get prepared for that. So I did start off by creating some lists. And then the second thing I did was start to hunt for some good books. Now, I wanted to not only have books for me to pull information from, but also to see if there were any great books that I felt had enough good material for that topic that we could include that in the course. I've been really inspired by how much we've enjoyed our courses from Guest Hollow, which include different types of books that they read. There's different sections of different books they'll read on different days or on different weeks as they come up in the topics. And so I thought I would look for not only books where, again, I could get good information as I'm kind of writing things out, but also that might be good resource books to have the kids read as well. I went to my local library, I went to my local bookstore, I started looking on Amazon, and I have got just what I feel like is a really good collection of books for me to start looking at. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to definitely use all of these books or that I'm going to pull things from all of these books, but I'm a little bit of a book hoarder. I have a problem. And so I got myself a good sized stack of books to start digging through. And again, I don't know which all of these we will end up using. I'll show you some of the ones that I've picked up so far, but this is really going to be kind of the big first step for me. We'll be going through these. I will take sticky notes and I will mark sections of books. I love to use like the big post-it notes and make a note about why I liked that section, not just marking it, but also saying like, this was really good for covering this subject, or these particular paragraphs or these particular pages would be good to include. And I feel like that helps me best be able to kind of quickly look at a book and see how much overall I feel like that is going to be beneficial for the course. So some of the things that I have picked up, for example, I found this life skills activity workbook. Now, this is actually a bunch of different kinds of forms. And I thought that was really cool because I felt like it was something I could make photocopies of for both of my kids to do. Some of the forms that are included in here are credit applications, an employee application, filling out checks, health insurance claims, rental agreements, monthly budget, rental applications. And I mean, they're actual examples of these forms, like with all of the things you might normally have to fill out. So I thought that that was something that would be kind of cool to look at. Now, I feel like having looked at it, like I probably could have found free versions of these things to print off and have my kids use, but I really didn't know until I got the book and got a chance to look at it more. But it also gave me the idea that if we're going to discuss taxes, I should print off blank copies of tax forms to have them practice filling out and things like that. Another one that I got is Life Skills 101, Everything You Need But Won't Learn in School. And this one has quite a lot of infographics. One of the reasons why I picked this one up is because it did say that it had a lot of infographics. I have one student who's a very fast reader and can handle a lot of heavy reading material. I have one who really does not prefer a lot of heavy reading, and I didn't want to create a course that was going to feel like it was just another super heavy reading course. And I feel like infographics are a great way to provide a lot of information in a more visually appealing way. And so this is a really great option for students who they just don't like to just sit there and read, solid chapters of information. They want it presented in a variety of ways. So this book is, I think it's really interesting. Why do I need critical thinking? How do I stop getting distracted? How can I manage my time more efficiently? How should I share my ideas at work? How do I work in a team? So a lot of information in here on, it feels like kind of like interpersonal relationships and work relationships and things like that. So I thought that was good. I got one on Mortgages 101, quick answers to over 250 critical questions about your home loan. I do not think I'm going to have my kids read this. However, I wanted to use this as a resource for me to be able to pull information to add into the curriculum. I picked up the Young Adult Survival Guide to Living Independently, Life Skills for Moving Out, Getting a Job, Managing Money, Budget Building, Homemaking, and just about everything in between. Now, this one does not have, pictures and things like that, but it's got little short sections of reading. This might end up being one that I use kind of as a book. I have them read, but have them read different sections on different weeks. I got a quick start guide to retirement planning. Again, not necessarily to have my kids read, but for something for me to pull information from. I got another life skills book called Home Ec for Everyone, Practical Life Skills and 118 Projects. And it was the idea of it having the 118 projects that interest me because it actually tells you how to do certain things. For example, skill 58, how to clean a coffee maker. and then you actually go through and you do it. And so it's just, they're real practical things that, you should probably know how to do. How to cook a steak, including the different parts of the cow. So I thought this one it was interesting because it covered not just the everyday things. There are home ec books or life skills books out there that feel like they cover just the same thing every single one does. And I thought this had a lot of unique ideas for it. I got the Popular Mechanics, How to Fix Anything. This is a book that is filled with pictures and graphics and a lot of really practical guides on fixing things at home. I got Expanded and Updated 3rd edition, How Your House Works, a visual guide to understanding and maintaining your home. Another really great one as far as having a lot of different graphics and illustrations, things to help you really understand how stuff works. And again, it's covering basics about the house that, unless somebody's taught you these things, you wouldn't know. How a top-loading washer actually works. How is it a vacuum cleaner works? How does a garage door opener work? How do you fix it if it's broken? How do you prevent beams from bending? Smart meters, circuit grounding. I mean, tons of different things, basic plumbing stuff and everything. And then the last one I've picked up so far is bank account math. This is a life skills workbook, practical activities to teach how to use a bank account. So this again covers online banking, shopping online, filling out a check, credit applications. So I just thought that this was kind of a cool, interesting little workbook. So book shopping was the next thing that I did. I went and picked these up, and I've started to go through them. Like I said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to use Post-it notes in order to mark things that I think are interesting to keep. Now, with those types of books, I could choose to use some of them and actually just have my kids read them and have that be kind of like the backbone of the course. And I think for different subjects, you might be able to find one or two books that really cover that subject thoroughly that you could use in that way. We will probably do a combination where I'm going to pull certain bits of information from some books. I might look on sites like Teacher Pay Teachers to see if there are some great downloads on some things, some of the subjects I want to cover. We might use some of these books in their entirety. The next thing that I wanted to do after looking for books is I want to see what other kinds of resources are out there. My kids do enjoy if I can find entertaining but informative videos. That's again something that we've seen a lot in our Guest Hollow courses. There will usually be short videos that go along with the topic they're learning. And YouTube is wonderful at having lots of different types of videos. All you have to do is get on there, put in a topic, and start doing a search. Now, this part might take a little bit of time because not all videos are created equal. There are some that will be very long, some very short, some will have really up-to-date information, some will be dated, some will be very dry and dull, others will be, very upbeat and entertaining. So it is finding the right types of videos. And I'm a firm believer in viewing it before I recommend it to my kids to watch. And so I'll go through and do some searches and see what types of videos I can find. I could also look for some longer things like documentaries that are related to the topics that I feel could be informative for them as well. Now, not all teenagers enjoy having hands-on projects included in their curriculum, but if your student is one who does, you could look at what types of projects you could incorporate into the course you're creating. Some courses naturally lend themselves to hands-on projects. I'll go back to the woodworking example. What better way to learn woodworking than to actually go out and create some projects in the workshop? Photography. What better way to learn about photography than actually take the camera and do different types of photographs, try different types of settings, different types of editing. Filmmaking, same deal. Going out and actually doing it. Different types of art. Naturally, you need to create the art. But I'm doing mental health and life skills. Now, life skills I think will lend itself more easily to projects because I do want them to put some of the things they're learning into practice. I want them to go around and check things in our home. I want them to help with different types of home repairs and home projects. I'd love for them to actually do some of these different worksheets, these different examples of applications and tax forms, or maybe giving them some scenarios where they have the job they're thinking of and different types of benefits are being offered and what are the pros and cons of those benefits, like actually working it out and figuring it out. I'm not really sure if we'll do anything related, like as far as like writing papers or anything like that, but I feel like there are plenty of ways that I can find hands-on projects for them to do, particularly with that home ec project book. I feel like there's so many different hands-on projects I could definitely have them do for that course. For the mental health course, I don't have any specific ideas for projects yet, if I'm being honest. I think I'm going to need to do a little more research on different things that we might need to do. I think as I do the research, particularly on strategies for cultivating your own mental health and taking care of yourself in different situations, I'll probably find some examples of projects or things to have them try, and I will work that in. But it's going to take a little more digging, a little more research on my part before I have all of that. So the last thing I need to think about is how is it I'm going to actually grade and evaluate this course that I'm creating? Because this is going on their high school transcript. I need to assign a grade. And I don't want to just say, well, you participated and so you get an A. So how is it I'm going to determine how well they did in that course? Will it be their work done on these hands-on projects? Will it be narration journals? I'm a huge fan of narration journals. I think it's a great way for a student to basically tell you back what they've learned, and we have done those in the past. In fact, I'll link the narration journal video down there if you are interested in that. But figuring out, do I want to write my own quizzes? Do I want to assign papers? Do I want to give credit for projects? Do I want them to do like a verbal teach back of the things they've learned? And figuring out kind of how I want to split up the credit for those different things. But there are lots of different ways that you can choose to evaluate a course for student. Again, things related to like photography, art, woodworking. You could definitely look at their completion of different types of projects. Maybe if you know somebody who's an expert in those fields, you could ask them to kind of judge the quality of the things they create over the course of a semester or over the course of the year. Or maybe it's just the fact that they are demonstrating that they are learning those skills. Writing a quiz or writing a test is not as hard as some may think, especially if you take the time to look at the material you're going to have your students do, and then you can create different types of questions that you could then present to them. So those are kind of the steps that I'm taking as I work on these electives for my kids. I made a list of what topics I wanted to cover for each of them. I looked for some great books to either use in the course or to pull information from as I kind of put things together. I looked for videos and documentaries. I forgot to mention, along with videos and documentaries, I also looked for like online resources, websites, online activities, infographics, things like that. Kind of all goes with the online searching thing. Figuring out if I want to include any hands-on projects or kind of like assignments and what those would be. And then figuring out how I wanted to grade and evaluate it. So I have been kind of delving into these topics and working on these things. Now, my game plan right now is to try to actually put these together into somewhat of a more formal format, as far as having like a downloadable PDF with information and resources and links and examples and all of that. Not only because I want to have it ready to use with my kids, but also I thought these would be great topics to share with you guys as a potential resource if these are courses you would be interested in doing with your students as well. So I kind of have that added pressure I put on that I not only want it to be the quality that I want it to be for my own students, but I also want to make sure that it's something that would be a valuable resource to you and to your students as well. So as I get these completed, and I'm working on the life skills one mostly right now, and then mental health I'll work on after that, I will let you know. I will give you a more detailed video about exactly what those will cover and how you will be able to get them if that is something you're interested in. I hope you found this video helpful as far as potential strategies for creating your own high school electives. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up before you go and drop a comment. Let me know what unique and interesting electives you have found for your homeschoolers. Or if you've created a high school elective, let us know a little more about it and what resources you used. Thanks so much for joining me today, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Happy homeschooling.